Good evening and welcome to this week's edition of Inside Red Dragon Sports. I'm your host, Geoff Hassard, Assistant Director of Athletics and Sports Information Director here at SUNY Oneonta. And as we continue through the spring season, tonight we're going to feature men's lacrosse. So please join me after the break where I'll be joined in studio by head men's lacrosse coach, Dan Mehar.
Know what?
What?
Since I got adopted, I've learned a lot about these humans.
I know. I mean, check out these two. It's Flirt City over here.
Yeah, I noticed that. It looks like my human is definitely into your human.
Oh, look! I think she's getting his number.
Nice.
Your human's got some sweet moves.
Takes after his dog. Oh, look, they're doing that thing where they put their arms around each other.
She kicked up a leg. It's like in the movies.
That's awesome. Looks like we're going to be hanging out a little bit more.
Welcome back to the show. Joining me now is head men's lacrosse coach, Dan Mehar. Welcome to the show, Dan.
Thanks, Jeff.
New season, new guys, some new players. Why don't we talk a little bit about how you go from year to year? You've been here now. This is your seventh year. And as you go, you have a new group of kids you welcome in. Of course, you have your upperclassmen and stuff. Just give us a little idea of how you prepare for each season as you come out of the recruiting part.
I think we want to get together with our assistants, which we do each year. In preparation of the season, really in preparation of fall ball with the new class coming in, and just kind of decide what we have. I mean, if we have shooters, or if we are just small and fast, or can we press out defensively, what kind of goalie do we have, are we a zone team, that type of thing, and just kind of try and evaluate what our personnel is. And then we try and piece together, an offense I think that's going to fit what we do well and what our skill set is, and defense that complements that as well. And so this year, last year I think we ended where we had to play a little bit of zone and maybe slow it down a little bit more offensively to try and play a slower style. I think that fit our athletes, but I think this year we have a lot more versatility. Both offensively and defensively. We have a lot more balance, and so it allows us to do a lot more. Right? We have probably 4 or 5 different offensive sets, and we have at least 2 or 3 different, defensive sets and 2 or 3 offensive sets. And so, like I said, I think we can be a little bit more dynamic with the group that we have this year. But again, it's trying to look at the personnel and trying to build around that.
Now, so fall ball. You guys get a non-traditional season. Really a benefit of spring season.
Right.
So is that where you're trying to figure out, what came in through the recruiting process, and now seeing them actually play? I mean, there's a big difference between the high school and college, and you got to get on board with what goes on. So how does that transition work?
Yeah, it's absolutely the case. I mean, we know. I mean, we've already kind of wrapped up our 2014 fall class, and we're excited about it. It's going to be great, and we were excited about the 2013 class, and we see these guys play in high school, and we know what they're capable of. But once they get here and they play against college level competition, sometimes they pop and sometimes they don't, and sometimes they're ready to go early, and sometimes it takes halfway through their freshman year or maybe even their sophomore year before they really start to gain the confidence. So much of it has to do with the mental piece and the confidence of it, and so the skills are all there, but it's really the mental piece. Are you ready to play at that pace consistently? And I think we had a little bit of that this past weekend, where I think we have all the pieces. I think schematically, we had what we needed. I think we were prepared in terms of our scout, but I just don't think we maybe had the confidence that we needed to play in a game, and so I think that's what we struggled with. But I'm still think that we have the right pieces, and we're going to have a great year. So.
Right now, of course, the winter weather always wreaks havoc on anybody in the Northeast, and we certainly were hit this year with it.
Yep.
Being indoors, I mean, how does that modify how you prepare and what you do?
I think we're actually fortunate. It's hard to, we got to continue to remind ourselves. It's frustrating to be inside.
Right.
But I think we're fortunate because we can get outside with our turf facility, even if there's snow. If they can get it plowed for us, we can get outside. Right. And if they can't get us outside, I think we have a better indoor space than a lot of our competitors in the Northeast. And so even though this year the weather has been particularly harsh and it continues to be frustrating day after day if we're stuck inside, the truth is that we're probably in a better spot indoors, relative to some of our competitors. So it will probably be an advantage for us. But it definitely changes, the practice plan and what we can do. We can't do, the full field stuff that we'd like to do. We had a scrimmage canceled this past Sunday because of the weather outside, and I think that really impacts our substitutions, our transition from defense to offense, our transition from offense to defense, our riding and clearing game. Those things are things that the truth is that, if we have a great settled offense or a great settled defense, that's really only just a few
Part
pieces
of it,
of what a typical scoring type a game would be. So it's those transition pieces that really show up in the win or the loss column a lot of times. And so when we can get outside, I think that's helpful for us. But like I said, our indoor facility lets us do really just about everything else, with the exception of that.
Now you had a chance to spend a week down in North Carolina. You actually got a chance to practice, at Duke?
We were at Chapel Hill.
You were at Chapel Hill and got a chance to practice and watch and see, great Division I players and athletes, practice. What kind of a week was it for you, and how does that maybe influence or affect, how the kids, feel about themselves?
I think we had the opportunity. We were at Chapel Hill practicing. The weather was ideal. It gave us a chance to do a lot of the things I mentioned in terms of the transition and the riding and clearing that we really just hadn't had an opportunity to do. And I think we got a lot better throughout the week. We had an opportunity to catch Duke practicing. We had an opportunity to catch North Carolina practicing, and then caught Duke versus Penn in a game later in the week. And so I think, really, for us, certainly the coaching staff, I think we felt that a lot of what we observed was very reinforcing for some of the stuff that we're doing tactically. What I did observe that maybe some things that we can add are, just a couple of drills, and really the way that those programs are able to organize their practices with some of their facilities and some of their personnel. It's all very efficient. It's from one drill to the next, and they have the clock, the game clock on the field, and if it's a 15-minute drill, it runs for 15 minutes, and then they're right into the next thing. And so, sometimes when we're doing some teaching, we do a lot of half-speed stuff, which is appropriate, but they're a little bit further into their season than we are at this point, and everything they do, every single rep is full speed, and that's certainly the pace we want to play at.
Right. So about this year, we've got a great mix of young players and some older players now that are going to have to step up and do some things for us.
Right.
Tell us how that's coming together and what your expectations really are for this season.
Well, we graduated a big class last year. I think we don't have a lot of older guys. We have really one senior. We have a few juniors. That group, I think what they really bring to us, in addition to what they do on the field, is we have great leadership this year. And we really need great leadership because we're such a young team. Really, I would say 70% of our team are freshmen and sophomores. And we have tremendous talent within that group, but the issue is that they're young, and as we kind of discussed earlier, especially the freshmen, we know they're going to be great. It's just a matter of when, and so it's going to take a little bit in terms of growing pain, but I think that our schedule is set up to help us do that, and I think that with the leadership that we have to kind of role model what we're looking for and what Oneonta Lacrosse is, I'd like to think that we'll be hitting our stride mid-season and be ready to compete. I think we're going to be a great team over the next 3 to 4 years. Right. I would like that to happen this year. Dan Stern, who we're going to talk to soon, he's going to hope that happens this year, of course. And so, and that's certainly what the plan is for this year.
Let's talk about some of those players. I mean, certainly Dan is a 4-year player for us, and he's captain of our team, and has been here. And so what kind of leadership style qualities does he add to our to our program?
Dan is really our only captain this year, and I think that's actually going to work to our benefit. Even though we have some other great leaders, including Jordan, who we're going to speak with, I like the idea of a singular voice and a singular example as our captain. Dan does everything in the classroom, on the field, around town. His demeanor is exactly what we're looking for. If you watch him play, he's not a big guy. He's not super fast. He's quick, but he's not super fast. But the guy never quits. He's just tenacious, and he's an overachiever. And like I said, you're going to speak with Jordan also. He's another overachiever. And I mean, if we can get some of our maybe more physically gifted guys to overachieve, and we can get our team to overachieve, we're going to have a really great season and a great program. And those are guys with the role modeling that they display day in and day out is really, I think, ideal for our young team.
Right. Now, of course, you played for us. You played 2 years, right? You transferred in 3 years.
3 years.
3 years. And then you came, now you're coaching us.
Yep.
How's that been for you, as being a player? You were part of a program. You played for Jim Nagel, who had us at a NCAA level type thing, and now you're trying to build it back.
Right.
I mean, what kind of a transition has that been for you?
It's been tougher than I was expecting, and I think the difference between when I was here as an athlete in the late '90s to now is, I think that our program is playing at a relatively high level, but the landscape of Division III lacrosse is very, very different. Everybody is good now, and we had 2 alumni actually down at our game this weekend, and they were very impressed. I mean, they thought we had a great team, and I think we have a good team as well, but everybody's good. And so, there's not really any cupcakes out there that you can kind of build into your schedule. I think we can compete with Cortland. I think last year we had a down year, and yet we were as close to the #1 team in the country as we've been in the past several years. And so it's that sort of environment right now in Division III. So, I think that in terms of being an alum, I hope that our players can recognize that for me, this is not just about winning. This is not just about doing my job. It's about the personal connection I have with this institution and this program and the experience that I had here. And that's certainly a message that we want the recruits to know as well. And I think the fact that we were able to bring back Andrew McIntosh, who's an alum as well, to our coaching staff, and Jake Resnick, who played for us last year. I think we have alumni invested in the program, and hopefully that's going to pay dividends in a different way than maybe some other guys would.
Right, and so it certainly seems, again, it's a personal investment of your time, your effort, but it's really for the total. It's not wins and losses. You really want the program to be the way it should be academically and athletically. And
Correct, and I think we're there. I mean, when I look top to bottom at our roster, I think we have the right people here. There's no doubt about it, and I feel very, very good about the guys that we have in our uniforms, and so that's a pride thing as well. And so now it's a matter of getting some wins as well. I mean, we want both for sure.
Right.
And so that's the challenge.
All right. Well, listen, we want to wish you the best of luck and the best of health all year long, and certainly we look forward to watching you this spring and seeing these new guys, these freshmen and sophomores. It's always good to see the young kids, see what we got. So certainly good luck.
Thanks, Geoff.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank Coach Dan Mehar for coming by tonight. And after the break, I'll be joined in studio by Dan Stern and Jordan Placella.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Welcome back to the show. Joining me now in studio are men's lacrosse players, senior Dan Stern and junior Jordan Placella. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
How are things going so far?
Pretty well so far. We're in a little bit of a rumble, like being inside all the time, but we're starting to get back into things, being outside last week, and we had a little rough bump in the road on Saturday, but we'll be coming back ready to play on Saturday against Farmingdale.
Right now, I would talk to Coach Mehar about from year to year. You're now in your fourth year. You're with Minos for third year. Each year you welcome a new bunch of guys, and how the chemistry works together and stuff. I mean, how is it from year to year in trying to incorporate some of these younger kids into our program?
Well, it's very difficult because more people are graduating when more people are coming in. So getting to know people and learning their style of play is also very different.
That has to be because a lot of them, they all come from different high school programs, and of course they all play different styles. And then now we're trying to, Coach Mehar talked about trying to find styles, of whether we're, a pushing, attacking team, or maybe we're a zone type team. I mean, is that from year to year for you for the last 4 years? Has that been?
Yeah, it's always switching. Like when I first got here, we tried to be a team that was always trying to push transition, trying to get easy goals on transition and stuff. And then as we kept going, we realized that we have a lot more smarter players who are able to settle down, recognize what the defense is doing, and then picking it apart bit by bit. And then that's how we've been going from here.
Do those kinds of things take place during your non-traditional, they call fall ball? I mean, you guys have the benefit of playing, really for 15, 16 days in the fall and really getting to work out some of those, those kinks, with the new guys and stuff. I mean, is that where that stuff kind of starts to come together?
Yeah, it helps. It also helps understanding, again, their style of play and stuff, and helping the coaches understand what kind of team we are. If we have more people that are better at playing zone defense, when maybe we have better players playing man. So it helps getting to know people and stuff.
Right. Now, you guys were able to travel down to North Carolina and train for a week, and we ended the week with a game against Guilford or whatever. So we're already kind of into at least one game into the season. Certainly have a lot more to go. How was that? Two ways. Is maybe like a team bonding type trip where you guys, that's it. You're there. You're in the hotels, traveling and all that. I mean, how do you think that helps maybe down the road or pays dividends?
It definitely brings us together. Like being forced in a hotel lets everyone hang out and you get to know each other. Even though we're already good friends, it just helps make that bond stronger, so that when we get further down the road, that it's all right, guys, we're here, we're together, we're going to push through this together. It's not going to be a one-person show or something. So being able to bond like that definitely helps us.
Right. What about you?
Every year that I've been here, that trip that we have in the winter is always the trip that you get to know the freshmen and the transfers. It's always that getting to know stage that helps the team become successful.
Right. Now, you guys were able to see, Duke, and you got to practice, at places that, maybe a lot of kids don't get to, do that. I mean, what kind of an experience was that for you guys?
As Coach Mehar was saying before, the full field benefits us a lot because we're indoors up here in Oneonta a lot, and people don't realize that we need to work on things full field. Transition is a huge part of lacrosse, and the passing is completely different outside, so that helped a lot.
Right.
Being able to, lacrosse isn't like a sport where football, where there's an actual big professionals thing. So when you're watching top college or programs like Duke and UNC, you're watching usually the best lacrosse players there are in the world. So being able to watch them, see how they play, watch their tendencies, you can pick up a couple things how they do things and then try and incorporate it into your own type of game.
Well, that's what I mean. I was just going to say, if you're watching a particular player that plays the position that you play, are you watching them and saying, "Ooh, gee, I think I can do that," or try that in a game? I mean, is that?
Yeah, it helps a lot. Even watching them practice, realizing how hard they're going all the time makes you want to work harder, and they're doing things in practice that maybe you should be doing, so it helps a lot.
Right.
You're watching for attackmen, you're just watching how they push to 5-and-5, or as they're watching the slide, they're reading, dropping back, looking at the crease, keeping their head up at all times, and you just watch their footwork and see how they plan and explode out of it, and you just learn that and you just try and incorporate it into your game.
Yeah, I mean, it's really just for you guys, it's like watching a game film, right? I mean, you guys get to, I mean, it's live, but you get a chance to, maybe if you ever want to become coaches yourself, I mean, it's actually really a good opportunity for you guys to mesh and talk with your other teammates about some of the things that, maybe we could try, maybe talk to the coaching staff. I mean, do you guys share a lot of stuff with the coaching staff about maybe style of play and maybe things that you guys can do on the field?
We'll mention some things here and there, but obviously it all revolves around what the coaches want to do. But if we have a suggestion, maybe I would offer here and there.
Right, with your...
I have a little different relationship with Coach Day. We usually are able to go back and forth, see how we're seeing how people are playing, where we can see things to add wrinkles into our own offense and stuff. And he's very open-minded to listening to the things I have to put in as I am with him.
Right.
So we just have a nice bond where like we can see something, we can put it in, and then bring it out in the next practice and incorporate it into games and stuff.
Oh, that's a good. I think that to me, I think that would be beneficial to both if things were to just evolve. I mean, it could be just one simple thing that you maybe saw something in a game and, hey, maybe I'll see what Coach Mehar thinks or whatever. So I think that's probably. Now, as we go into, further into the season, I mean, by the time this show is on our, viewed or whatever, I mean, you guys will be probably about midway through your season. What kinds of things are you maybe hoping for in the early season and then maybe as you work towards the end?
Well, mainly win. We need to start winning games and becoming more as a team. We need to work together a lot more. Teamwork is what we're really working on. So that's the main thing, I think.
The biggest thing with winning is not just winning by one person. We have to win in a way, like a team way, instead of it just being one person trying to like score, go through three guys and score. We need to get our teamwork basically up, moving the ball around, scoring easy goals that are, instead of taking a shot, you move the ball, and you might not get the point, the goal or the assist, but you were the creator of the offense, and it ends up to goals, and then that eventually ends up to wins. And then once we get into the SUNY, once we see how that works, it'll definitely help us out.
Right. Now, as you guys work through practices and games and things like that, how does that evolve? I mean, your first game, certainly from the first game to the second game and from the second game to the eighth game, I mean, it's going to evolve, but I mean, as leaders on our team, how do you guys maybe influence some of that, change?
Well, obviously from the start, the first game, we're a completely different team to the last game. We're going to be changing throughout the season, the whole season. And every single game we learn something different about us. Right. We learn what we can work on, what we are really good in, and that affects the next game. So throughout the season, we're going to be improving a lot. So.
Right.
We also have to recognize, like, we're not playing the same team every single week. So from one game, we move on, and then we see what another team, and we have to learn what their tendencies are and see how we can counteract those tendencies. We can use things that we learned in past games to help them, but usually we're going to have to come up with new ways to beat the new opponents coming up.
Right. Who are, let's talk about some of your teammates and who you think are going to be some of those players that we need to keep our eye on as we go through the season. Now, you're up front, attackman,
defense.
Yeah. So you guys kind of see a different perspective of the game. I mean, you almost, if you ever watch Lacrosse, you kind of hang out and wait for the ball, the play to come to you. These guys got to, get it and transition, as we talked about. So how do you think those two things evolve? And who are some of the teammates on the defense that you think that we should be?
Well, no offense to attack or anything, but defense wins games. You need a solid defense to give the ball to attackmen. So the attackmen are waiting around for the defense when the defense needs to work hard to give them the ball. This year we just switched Matt Knapp actually to lone pole, and he's doing really well, number 32. And Ben Hilka, he's a rising sophomore. He's doing really well. So those are two guys to look out for.
Yeah. What about up front?
Taking a shot back at Jordan. The best defense is having the ball on offense. So, because when we have the ball on offense, we won't even need to play defense. So that's the way to think about it. But players that you guys should look out for is Connor Coyle. He's
sophomore.
Yeah, rising sophomore. He transferred in last year, and he's really coming into things. He's a really explosive player, and he can do it all. He can dodge left and right. He can shoot left and right, and he just has the vision and feel to know when not to shoot and pass it off for an easier goal too. So he's someone you guys should look out for.
Now, midfield, the guys that they get the responsibility of carrying the ball a lot of times. When you guys make a stop on defense, you guys are looking for that midfielder to kind of now get it over midfield and get it to the attackers and where they can participate in the offense. Who are some of those midfield guys that are going to help us in that?
We have a very young midfield group. I would think Anthony Laureano is someone to look out for. He's also
junior.
Junior. Not only a leader, he's a great solid player that we have in the midfield.
Yeah. So, is he our face-off guy too? Maybe mainly one of them.
Him and Brendan Hickey are two face-off guys. Okay. Brendan faces more on playing defense, and Laureano is more of an offensive guy too.
Okay.
Another one to look for is Jimmy Reeser. He's also a junior. He plays D-midi also, but He's very careful handling the ball. So when you get it to him, he can get the ball down, and he knows when to push it. He understands how to play lacrosse. So he knows when to push it in transition, or whether to settle it down, hand it to the attackman. Let's settle it down and get our offense flowing in.
Now
So sometimes the D middies could score more than the offensive middies because transition happens so frequently.
Yeah, we've seen some. I mean, during my 15 years here, I've seen plenty of long pole guys score goals, which is almost like I don't know. I could just say it's not worth 2 goals, but it almost could be, because you don't expect defenders to really go and be that offensive-minded people.
Aside from them just scoring a goal, it's just like a huge morale boost to the team. When you see like a long pole run down and score, the whole team gets amped. Doesn't matter who it is, how he scored. It lights a fire, and then like it helps the ball rolling, and then next thing you know, instead of it just being 1 goal, we can be up another 3 goals quickly after that.
Right. I don't know if Coach Mehar, told you the stories about, we used to have a goalie who used to love taking the ball on offense and actually scored a couple times for us. I mean, so you guys say defender. Mike Lauer, who was an incredible goalkeeper for us, he would take the ball full field and just take it from goal to end, and he would score. He actually scored a game-tying goal one year against Potsdam, and so, I mean, those kinds of guys, certainly add to the mix, having those ability. I mean, I would have to think that being a defender, I mean, your stick skills and ball handling skills have to be just as good as an attacker, because a lot of times you're breaking out of piles, guys that are just trying to take the ball from you. So I would have to say that your stick handling skills have to be just as sharp.
Yeah, we handle the ball just as much as attacking. We have to clear it, and like you were saying before, we have opportunities to score. And that, as Stern was saying before, Dan Stern, the intensity just increases so much when a long pole score. The same way you hit a guy on the fields, just that could change games from winning to losing.
Right. And of course, defense, your last line of defense is the goalkeeper. How are we looking in goal this year?
Very competitive. We have 2 sophomores and a freshman, and any one of them can start at any time. Right now, our starting guy is Kevin Fitzpatrick, a guy from Rocky Point, and not to knock the other 2 goalkeepers because they're all really phenomenal, but I think Kevin he's something special.
Right, and of course it does help to have somebody that can stop a ball if it happened to have a defensive breakdown or something like that. So I mean, for the confidence for you guys, I mean, how does that feel for you guys on defense?
Well, obviously defense makes mistakes. We're not perfect, so relying on the goalie to make that save is very important and requires a lot of trust.
Right.
And communication too on the goalie's part, because they're not playing defense while we are playing. They're watching, so making them communicate is very important.
Do they kind of, move you guys around? I mean, they're always talking, barking out orders. I mean, does that?
Mainly the goalies are the loudest in the field, which they should be.
Right.
It helps a lot because sometimes I'm focusing on my attackman. I can't always look at the ball, so when they're telling me where the ball is, it's very helpful.
Right. Well, we certainly know that this is going to be a great year for you guys, and we certainly want to thank you for coming by tonight, and we want to wish you the best of luck and stay healthy, and at the end, hopefully we'll be playing in the NCAA tournament this year.
Thank you.
So thanks for coming by.
Thanks for having us.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank all the members of the lacrosse program for coming by tonight, and you can certainly follow them all year long on www.oneontaathletics.com. And please check out their homepage on our site as well. You can follow them on Twitter. They're always tweeting stuff, inspirational things at times, so certainly follow them if you can. And we'll see you next time on Red Dragon Sports.